Hey guys, Paul McLean here, and I want to give you something that's exciting. So before we get in this Monday Morning Wake Up podcast and we launch it, let me just tell you what we're starting. So the last Monday of each month, we're going to have a new classroom edition. So kind of like a series within a series. And so what that's going to look like is we're going to get into the classroom and we're going to break down in-home presentations, phone script. It's going to be sales-based. So also recruiting. We'll get into recruiting, but it's going to be a classroom edition every single last Monday of each month. And so guys, this is the first launch. We're going to go ahead and get into one-on-one coaching. So we have James breaking down his in-home presentation. He's going through it and I'm stopping him and kind of giving him some course correction. And by the way, guys, this is something that for one is the best way to learn and grow is that hands-on coaching. And also when you guys are watching him, I'm hoping you can kind of like put yourself into his shoes and say, well, that makes sense. Or maybe I'm doing it like that and maybe I could tweak and adjust this and modify that. And I think this is going to serve you really well in going out there and elevating your game from a personal production standpoint, but also with you building your business. So for the most part, this is mindset, but once a month, 1 week, one series, one episode, every month, it's going to be classroom edition. So I hope you enjoy this. The one thing I want to preface this with is this week, the audio is a little bit jagged. It's not very, fluid like it typically is, but it was such a good lesson, such a good session that we didn't want to not give it to you. And so if you could just kind of, listen in throughout the noises and the things that I think I don't know even what to call it, but it's just a noise that it'll kind of irritate you if you want it to irritate you. But if you could just lean in and listen to it, all the content that's going to be there will definitely help you significantly. So guys, lean in. This is one of those times you grab a notepad and a pen and you take notes, and I think this is going to serve you and serve you well. Make it a big week.
This is how it works. When it comes to becoming great in the field, like having some tweaks and adjustments on what your in-home process looks like, it's important. But it matters so least compared to activity and seeing a lot of clients. See, some people try to focus on, man, I need to get better. And they start deliberating on the close ratio. My close ratio is 40%, 30%. I got to get it better. Well, yeah, it does got to get better, but you know how to get it better more than going through and over analyzing exactly what you're saying and how you're saying and what they said and how you should say. That stuff, okay, it's important, but what's most important to get better is more appointments. So the first goal is to get through 100 appointments as fast as possible. The reason why the fastest possible matters just as much as 100 appointments is that every time you go to a client's house, the faster you sit with another client, the more you're able to glean and learn from the last client. Because it's so new, it's fresh. It's like trying to punish a kid a week after they did something. It's not effective. Like, Billy, you remember Billy when you last week? And he's like, I don't even know what I did to your, I don't know. Like, it's gotta be right away. It's gotta be right away. And it's like dialing. Like the agents are the most productive. Like I'd have 2 phones dialing at the same time. Why would I do that? Because I wanted to squeeze out any possibility of me to have a thought. Because I shouldn't have a thought. My thought should be just dial, book appointments. They sent in a request. They need the help. Everybody needs this. They either have life insurance. If they have life insurance, I'm going to be able to help them with a better plan because we have so many options. If they don't have life insurance is the most important thing that anybody can get. So I'm going to get them a plan. That's all I want to be thinking about. If I dial and then I take a break for 45 seconds and then make my next dial, in that 45 seconds, I'm not building self-esteem, encouragement. I'm not like, yeah, I'm really going to get it now. I'm thinking like, that signature looks like an angry person's signature. That's a double loop. Anybody that's got 2 loops in a signature, they're aggressive because why would you want to go twice around? I know you can think, but I'm telling you, it's the way it works. Your brain works in crazy ways. The other day I was taking a shower and I convinced myself I was the laziest person in the world. And I was like, I'm worthless because the light bulb was out. It started with the light bulb. I'm like, why's the light bulb out? So how long was that light bulb out for? And then before I know it, I'm like, I'm a piece of crap. I should be homeless. Like I should be on the street. What? I don't deserve anything because the freaking light bulb's out. I'm not making this up. I literally stopped and after like 3 minutes, I'm like, I am dysfunctional as heck. I was like, I wonder if a lot of people think like that. They just go to beat themselves up. I beat myself up about a dang light bulb for God's sakes. So I'm trying to squeeze out time so I can focus on what I need to focus on, which is they need help and I'm going to go help them. Simple. That's all I got to think about. They need help. I'm going to go help them. So before all this stuff makes that big of a difference, more appointments makes the biggest difference. So if you're booking 20 appointments a week, you say, I want my close ratio to get better. It'll get better if you book 30. If you're booking 30, it'll get better if you book 35. That'll help you get better. As you plug into podcasts, trainings, and conference calls and things like that, what it does is the more you have experiences stacked together and then you watch a podcast, you're able to see the deviation between how it should be done and how you did it. Does that make sense at all? But because of podcasts, you're watching people that are the best at doing it, which is why they're on the podcast. You say, why don't you ever get a sucky person on? Why? Because like there's people that suck at doing this, they quit and it doesn't work. We don't talk about those people because we don't want you to duplicate that. Does that make sense? Now, anybody can do this. They made decisions not to get better, all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is when you watch podcasts and you have a lot of training, a lot of appointments backed by appointments, you can slowly tweak, modify, and adjust what you did because you'll identify it. You're more aware of it. If you run appointments and don't watch podcasts and training, it's hard for you to become aware of what you didn't do right. Then you start thinking, if you don't think about what you didn't do right and have accountability, then you start to come up with excuses like, these clients just don't have this, and that. The clients over 70, they just don't buy life insurance. The clients that are on Social Security, you can't get it if they don't have any, but you start doing stuff like that, which is a fallacy. It's not true. Now, if you believe it's true, you're going to have the effects as if it's true. So it might as well be true. It's like the placebo. Placebos are fake. I think they're real because if you think it's true, you're going to have the effects as if it is true. You know what I mean? Like if I convince myself a sugar pill will cure my back pain, I want to take a sugar pill because there's no other, effects. It's just, does that make sense? So you have to believe what is truly true that lines up with your success. So you have the behavior and benefits of what's successful. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to go through, and James has been with us for a little while, right, James? A year. Close ratio is like 30%, right, roughly. Reggie and Rochelle, for this illustration purpose, and Rochelle writes a ton of business. So does Reggie. Reggie wrote like 12,000 in the last like 8 hours. I know it's been like 24 hours. Rochelle's written a ton of business, like, as well, writes business every week, like 20, 30, 40,000 plus a month. The reason why I want them to be the mock clients is because they understand what a client response is. If that's somebody brand new, they'll say something that doesn't make any sense. They're like, where did that come from? I used to do that. I get agents that were brand new. They sit down and then they try to role play and I have to stop like, dude, they don't ever say that. Like they don't ever say that to talk to their cousin Billy. That's not a thing. So they'll know responses, stuff like that. James, what I want to do is make it as applicable to what you run so it's as real for you. Now, everybody will get the benefit of this because what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and break down the in-home. Like I'll stop you and say, well, maybe if you say this and this is why. I want to get the psychology behind not just what's said, but why it's said. Because if you understand why it's said, the way you'll say it will be in such a way that it's received by them the right way. If you don't understand why you're saying it, it doesn't matter what you say, it's what they hear. They hear kind of the why you're saying it, which is derived from tonality, posture, poise, the understanding of why you're saying what you're saying. So you'll get the benefit to kind of see the psychology behind it, and we're going to try to get through it pretty quick, and I'm going to highlight some points that should hopefully bring a lot of value to you. James, what leads are you working?
These. It's mainly these.
Instant internet life leads?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to skip the whole formality of the 1 minute goal setting. Like James should have already, before he got out of his car, visualized the whole in-home going the way he wanted it to go, which is crucial. Because if not, if you just get out and you're not intentional with the way you're thinking, it'll operate from without intent, which is going to be default. By default, you go back to the whole me in the shower, light bulbs out, I'm a terrible person. You go to the whole, they're probably busy, they probably don't want it. All this crap that's not even true. It can be further from truth, but you'll do that. So you got to intentionally think about, them answering door, them being happy to see you, you being a doctor, you're saving the day, they need protection, Bob, and you have to convince yourself. This is one thing I'll say. I'm not going to get into the whole 1 minute goal setting, but you have to convince yourself that Reggie's going to die tomorrow. He doesn't know it. Rochelle doesn't know it, but you know it. And if you knew for a fact he wasn't going to come home tomorrow, then how would you behave? See, if it's from that basis, then when you're communicating to them, it'll be a lot more passion evoked. Also, if you have objections like, I want to think about it, you're more likely to communicate in such a way that they see your heart, because your mind is saying like, dude, you can't think about it. You're not going to come home tomorrow, and she's going to lose everything. You guys have kids. Like, so you start thinking that way. So I literally manipulate myself and convince myself that they're going to be gone before I get a car. That might be the single biggest thing that helps your close ratio, because now what you're saying, it's going to be all about them. And also what it does is it helps you compartmentalize, because everybody's got life going on. Nobody has a market corner for stuff. I mean, I can get up here and I won't, because there's no point, and give you guys 19 things I've gone through in the past 6 months. Life happens. Your ability to compartmentalize and put your focus on the client long enough where they see that you care, and take your eyes off yourself long enough, is your ability to be effective, to connect, build trust, and for the client to want to walk down your thought process as far as the necessity for the protection and how it's essential. Okay, so you've already done that. You're now going in, you've already talked about, wow, you guys have 3 kids on the wall. You talk about their sports, you talk about what you do. You talk about how you karate kick people in the face, because he does, right? Which you do, like, your leg span, I'm pretty confident you could kick like my 14-year-old if she was on my head in her head. Now, I'm not tall, so that doesn't say a whole lot, but yeah. So, but anyways, let's go. You're going to start from right there. You already built the rapport, and let's go into it.
All right, so this how I'm gonna do exactly how if I was in the house. All right. You're gonna be Miss Paula, Mr. Reggie. All right. All right, Miss Paula, Mr. Reggie. My name's James Roberts IV. Let me grab you my card. I'm with Family First Life Insurance, largest growing IMO in the country right now.
And try to speak up too, just because I want to make sure the mic grabs you.
Got it. All right. Largest growing IMO in the country right now. I'm a licensed through the state of California to protect you and your family. I'm a licensed broker. I'm not an agent. Do you guys kind of know the difference between the two?
No.
No? Okay. So let me kind of make it quick. So if I was just an agent, for example, say I was with I can only show you kind of one product. I'm captive, so I can only show you one thing. Usually that one thing's a little more expensive. And if you don't qualify for it, there's really nothing else I would be able to show you. You know what I mean? Since I'm a broker, I have multiple different carriers. And I can also find you something that's within your budget and that I know you can qualify for because I have that many carriers, okay? So with that being said, it looks like Miss Paula, you filled this form out. So Miss Paula, when people usually fill this form out, there's usually 3 reasons why. Reason number 1, someone in the family recently got sick. What's going on in the world right now. A lot of family members getting sick. Number 2, someone in their family passed away, someone they know. Or 3, they just kind of don't want to be a burden on their family when they pass away. So which category did you kind of fall into?
Well, his dad just died, and we had to come out of pocket quite a bit. So when the ad came up on Facebook, we just clicked on it to see what you can do for us.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear about your dad. That's it's tough. It's been going on, a lot lately. I can even relate to it. So usually most families are in the same position that I sit with. My job's pretty simple. All I really have to do, I just gotta ask you some health questions, see kind of just what's going on. I can figure out how I can help you. Okay. Let me just grab my paper real quick. I usually don't use that one. We have a different one.
All right, so I'm gonna pause while you're doing that real quick. So the one thing that James, you did really good, man, is like when you're talking about like who you are. I'm not an agent. I'm a broker. I like using field underwriter because broker I still think ties like commission, stuff like that. I want to use like something that makes it seem like I'm just there. It doesn't make a difference what they do or don't do. I'm just paid to come out. That's what I want them to kind of think, because I don't want them thinking that there's any kind of persuasion for me to communicate in a way where it's for my benefit. I want them to think it's all for your benefit. It doesn't make a difference, because to me, it doesn't make a difference. I'm not thinking about a commission check, payment. What I'm thinking about protecting and serving you, but that's good, And now the largest IMO in the country, they don't know what IMO is, Like who in here knows what an IMO is? So 2 out of 20 know what an IMO is, and they work for an IMO. Does that make sense? The clients have no clue what an IMO is.
Yes, sir.
So what I would, but the purpose behind like what you're doing is perfect. So saying something like, Michelle and Reggie, like Just so you kind of know, what I do is I field underwrite. So I work with multiple different options and carriers. Today I've helped many different families, whether it was the Mutual of Omaha, Americo, John Hancock. Because of their situation, everybody's unique and different. So some had diabetes, some had cancer, some are perfectly healthy. So all that allows me to do as a field underwriter is really identify who's best for you in your situation to try to get you qualified at the best possible rate. So that's kind of what I do. And so what that does is it lets them know that you work with a lot of carriers, which means that if you thought you needed to shop around, you don't. Also, it's starting to let them know that everybody you met with, you helped, which people want to do what people do. So I'm basically saying, like, everybody I met with today, guys, I've helped them with, and some have been different carriers, whether it's Mutual of Omaha. I'm saying names that connect well, which again establishes trust and connection, which I've heard them before. So if I've heard them before, I feel better about you. So all those things started to play out. And it's kind of the same thing that you did with, I work with the largest IMO, Family First Life. I'm a broker. But what it does is it's handling a couple of the things at the same time with shopping around. I don't want to be the only person that gets this, because that's people's fear. Like, I don't want to be the one that got taken. I don't want to be the one that got, right? So when you start saying, like, I help this person and that person with different carriers. So guys, what I want to do is really understand your situation, because they're always unique and different. Now, what you went into was perfect. Most families that I sit with is very similar. They have 3 things in mind. Now, what were your 3 things that you talked about?
Me, it was someone in the family gets sick, pass away, or they just don't want to give birth.
Okay. So the 3 things would be final expenses, income replacement, and legacy.
Okay.
So 3 things are still good, but like not leaving a burden is not really a thing. That not leaving a burden is all 3 things. Like, I don't want to leave a burden, so I got to get final expense. I don't want to leave a burden, so I need something to replace my income, because that'll be a burden. I don't want to be burdened, so maybe I want to create a legacy, so that way it's generational wealth and there's no burdens that come up down the line. So that's kind of assumed. So what I would do is final expense, income replacement, and legacy. Now the thing is this. So to break down why that's important, the 2 biggest things that you can do that will increase your close ratio is a better why and more assumptiveness. The sale's already done. So in your mind, you're like, you walk in, it's like, it's already done. You're not going after the sale. You're working from the sale. The sale, when they sent the form in, that's the sale. So now you can just go in and be a human being and just like find the right plan, connect with them. But in your mind, that's already done. So that's if you're convinced of it like that, you'll by nature just be more assumptive. And it won't be weird, because they'll feel it as if it is already done, which they should. You got to commit yourself, like, who in the heck fills out a form for one, and then who in the heck allows somebody to come to their house where their kids sleep if they don't want that product? You see how that's a lot more logical way to look at it, opposed to hopefully they'll buy? Like, they're at their house. They sent in a form. They invited you over. They want you over. So when you do the 3 things, the last thing I'll say on this, because it is important to building a deep, strong value base, is when you have the opportunity to articulate something that could be connected or tied to the why, go deep. There's certain things you want to be surface, talk about. Why-based things you want to drive depth with. So when I say, James, 3 reasons why everybody's kind of similar, 3 reasons why most people are looking at it. 1 is final expense. And James, the reason why that's most important for a lot of families is because when somebody doesn't come home, and we've had clients, we've done this quite a while, or if, Betty, or Rochelle, you're shaking Reggie and he doesn't come through too, and you're shaking and that's it. The last thing you want to think about is, how do I cover his expenses? When you're dealing with, oh my God, how do I get through life? Last thing you want to think about is the next day, how do I prepare for that, and how do I prepare for it financially? The GoFund, all that, you don't want to think about that. Second thing most people are looking at is income replacement. When Reggie passes, Rochelle, like what most people are looking at is making sure that, say it's Bob Mary, when he's gone, that income is gone. And so when you're going through life with that person, and everything about your life is connected with that person, every rhythm of life, you walking down the stairs and you see, when that's all, it's gone forever, there's nothing that can fix that. And that's going to happen. The odds you both go at the same time is very unlikely. It's going to happen. But the worst thing is to think, how do I replace that income so I can survive? So income replacement is one of the important things. And the third thing is leaving a legacy. When somebody passes away, just say, I want to be able to make sure my kids can go to college, my grandkids. They want to just set them up in a good way where they know that they've been a blessing to somebody. So of those three guys, which is most important, or they're all important? Is 2, 3? What does that look like for you guys? And then you pause and stop. Now it took me an extra 52 seconds maybe to go deep with those, but what I'm starting to do is make it more real for them. I'm starting to slowly pull on the heartstrings of what it looks like and getting them to visualize for the first time possibly what it really looks like. Now, when in this situation where Reggie says his dad just passed or something like that, right? Okay, that's a trigger, right? But now as you go into detail about those whys, what that does is it gets him to relive what he just went through more. And that's important for him to make the right decision to protect his family. Because it's not tangible. You can't show them functionalities of him and take a look, So if you can get him to get back to that part where he made the decision in the first place to send the request in, he's most likely to fulfill the reason of the request, which is to protect his family. Okay? So those are some of the things that you can just add to it to make it a little stronger is think about any time you have the opportunity to talk about the why, which is when somebody go deep with it. It's okay to add a couple things, and you're just telling a third-party story. It's about, Reggie and Rochelle, most families, what they tell me is Paul, if my spouse didn't come home tomorrow, the last thing I want to think about is I'm going through, and I don't know how to get through the day and all that stuff, that emotional devastation is how do I now get by financially? How do I now replace that income? How can I possibly do that? They want to have something that helps come in and make sure that there's no financial struggle while dealing with that. You see what I'm saying? So you're telling a third-party example to articulate it, but they're placing themselves in that third-party example, which makes it that much more effective. Okay, so go ahead, man.
Okay. Where was I at? The paper. All right. Miss Paula, how old are you?
70.
70. And Mr. Reggie, how old are you?
70.
70. Alrighty. Did you guys want to be buried or cremated?
I don't know.
Undecided. That's okay.
What's the difference?
Well, for one, burial's a little more expensive usually. Cremation's cheaper. So it's just all about which one were you trying to leave some money for your wife, or were you trying to, maybe just go all out for you? If you guys want to have a party for yourself, it's just all about what you wanted. But usually most families are undecided, so that's that's something I do hear a lot. So I could put that down for now. Do you guys smoke?
No, but can we go back to that?
Go ahead.
So back to the burial and the cremation.
Yes, sir.
What are most people actually lean towards?
Most people lean towards. I hear a lot of cremation, because they want to make sure any leftover bills or any ties are paid off.
Well, how much is that?
Those usually range from $3 to $5 grand. If you go on burial side, you want to go. Those can be 10, 15, 20 usually. So
We have that in savings.
Yeah, we do.
okay.
We could afford technically on our own.
Okay.
Hey, Reggie, speak up to me, talk to us. We get your response.
Got it. Yeah, we could technically afford that on our own. We have that in savings, just like.
Okay. So when you guys filled out this form, were you looking? So it wouldn't be for final expenses then. Were you looking to replace each other's income if one was to pass? Were you trying to make sure she's not stuck? Were you trying to figure out how to make up for your income, or were you trying to leave a legacy for your kids?
I would suppose a bit of each, wouldn't you?
Right. We're just trying to help each other out.
Okay. All right. I completely understand. All right. So back to my medical information. Do you guys smoke?
No.
No. Any kids or grandkids?
Yeah, we have 3 kids and 6 grandkids.
3 kids, 6 grandkids. Wow. All right. And have you thought about what that looks like for your kids and grandkids? Hypothetically speaking, if you did pass away yesterday, when you guys passed away yesterday, or even if both of you guys just happened to pass away, what would that look like for your kids? How would they get you guys' final expenses taken care of?
Well, I mean, like we have it in savings. They do for the most part, they do really well for themselves.
Okay, so you think they would be able to come out of pocket for it?
I mean, that's really up to them. I don't know their finances.
All right, so I'll stop right here. So what you want to do is, like, once you know that, like, that's been covered, like the final expense, you want to kind of, you want to leave that alone and then just go back to the financial inventory and get in all the information. Because what it does is it kind of makes Reggie would feel like, and even Rochelle, like they have to defend their situation because now they think that you're just trying to poke holes in what they've already got. You know, it's no different than if a client you sit with has like hundreds of thousands in the account, they have a pension when they die, there's no loss of income. The worst, and I used to do this and I hated it, would be I was trying to find a hole. I would say like, well, you know, what would it look like? And he's like, it'd be fine. And I was like, well, wouldn't you like it to be better? And he's like, well, I don't know. Not really. We just kind of sent this in because we're trying to figure out what it'd be if it made sense or not. I mean, we don't really need it at all. And I was trying to, so now I had him on guard opposed to I flip it around and I celebrate what they've got and saying stuff like, you know, Reggie, listen, man, I don't know if this comes across as meaning anything to you from me, but I sat with a lot of clients on this for a long time. And Reggie, you got to feel really good about how you set up your family, man. It's just, to me, it's admirable. It's something that I desire to do, and it's pretty cool for me to see. And Rochelle, you know, you got to feel pretty good about how Reggie's taking care of you because it's not common. And I just think it's pretty cool, you know. And I pause, and dude, he's so fired up. He's like, it's about to be a good night in Reggie's house tonight, you know. I like that kid James. I like him a lot, you know. And so that's kind of, you see what I'm saying? That's a lot more effect. And then I can see, you know, Reggie, most people I sit with in your situation that I do have over the years, really what they're looking to do is just strengthen their situation. They've already they've already made good decisions, created a great situation. They're just thinking like, hey, if we can go to add some protection to it, why not? Is that kind of what you guys had in mind too? And guess what he's gonna say? Oh yeah, he's in agreement with anything I say now. Yeah, absolutely, that's exactly what we look for because that just makes sense. Or else he just likes filling out forms. So I think commonsensically what that looks like. And I say, well, Reggie, if that's the case, what every client looks at then in your situation is just how much more they want to sustain a month to put towards it. Because anything's going to strengthen it. It's not really about the coverage, whether it's 50,000, 10,000, or 100. So it's really just what they want to allocate to it. Well, for you guys, that'd be $100 a month, 152. He says 200. Great. Well, I just made the sale. Doesn't matter if 200 bucks it gives me 20 grand or 100 grand. He's just strengthening the situation. Same thing. So the moment he says I have 15 grand, I say that's great, Reggie. You know, I got to be honest. Some clients I say, well, they don't have anything. So you got to feel good that you at least have something in place that would help cover the final expenses. So it's fair to assume. And really, I wouldn't even get into that part of it yet until I get the financial inventory. I don't want to show my deck, my hand too soon. I mean, I want all the questions to be in place. And then when I ask a question, I know what the answer I'm going to get because I see their hand. Yeah. Their hand's a financial inventory. If I see it in its entirety, then the questions I ask are kind of rhetorical. I know the answer I'm going to get to it because I can see it. I can see your hand. But you start asking prematurely, and they say something like, well, no, man, we already got $15,000 in the bank. Well, now it's shifting the wrong way you want it. You don't want it to be. Yeah. Does that make sense? So what I would do is, do you have the financial inventory? Is that what you're going through?
Yeah. I use the one, you know, my upline gave me, but.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, so just keep going through it. And then once you go through and gather the information, you know, but go through how you normally go through it. I'm stopping you, tweaking you just so that way you can learn as you go through it. Yes, sir. But yeah, try to, you know, go through the whole sheet.
And you guys were going to be each other's beneficiaries, is that correct? Just safe to assume, or did you want to make it your kids?
Yeah, she should be my beneficiary.
Alright, each other. Alrighty. And do you guys know the difference between term insurance and final expense insurance at all?
No.
Not really.
No? Alright. Well, I'll make it simple for you guys. Terminates, just think of it like that. For example, let's use easy numbers. If you had a $100,000 term for 20 years, if you outlive that policy, terminates. No money back, it's all gone. Final expense insurance, it'll cover you for the duration of your life. 100, doesn't matter. It's completely level, meaning the payment we decide on today stays the same, and the face amount we decide stays the same. If you get sick, doesn't matter, it'll forever be the same. Usually clients your age, I usually like to recommend the whole life route just because, you are covered forever. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It's out the way. It's just, you're done. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, all I have to do is just ask you some quick health questions, see how I can help you, all right?
Sure.
Do you guys have congestive heart failure?
No.
Hey, real quick too, the one thing that you can add when you do the term and whole life, I don't think it's optional. You could do it or you could decide not to do it. I typically would do it if it got brought up or what have you. But so if you anytime you have an opportunity to show yourself as the field underwriter, not the salesperson. So like however you came into the door, you can't control the perception they have of you because you weren't there. You show up. My goal though is as I go through the in-home for them to start to shift that and they see me as I see me, which is I'm the field underwriter. I'm there to serve, help, makes no difference to me if you get it or not at all. Now I'm great at my job because I care about people, but I could care less what you do. It ain't gonna affect my kid. That kind of thought process. So when I do the term whole life, I'll say, so James, listen, let me kind of break down the difference between term and whole life for you guys. So most people, like term covers you for a block of time. It's, now if I know how I want to package it based on where I want to go. So for them, I want whole life final expense. So I'm going to say, so term, it's really great when you're 20, 30, because it covers those blocks of time. And by the time it ends in those early years, mortality doesn't spike. But when it ends at like 80, that's the most frustrating clients because what used to be $200 a month is now, $2,800 a month because it's all mortality based once it expires what your new age is. And in term coverage for a period of time. Now I've had clients say, term's terrible. I heard term's terrible. They probably heard that from a captive sales rep that only sells whole life because term's not terrible. I help clients because I field underwrite with all different plans. It just depends on the situation. It's always different. Whole life covers you forever. So no matter how long you live, it's always going to be there. It has a little bit of a cash value setup. So if you ever got into a situation you couldn't make a monthly payment, you could use that to make the premium. And when you pass, it would just come off the death benefit. And I've had clients say, whole life's terrible. You want to do term. Typically, a captive salesperson that only sells term, they'll say the whole life. But I feel underwrite. They're both good. It just depends on the situation. Does that make sense, Bob Mary? Now, what all I did was I got them to see me the way I wanted them to see me, which is as a field underwriter. So I use that illustration to throw in little things like, I've had clients say, man, term is terrible, because they've heard that too. So that's usually a captive salesperson, because they're not both bad. It's bad in the wrong situation. Does that make sense? So you go ahead and go.
Alrighty. Are you guys on oxygen at all?
No.
Alrighty. Kidney dialysis at all?
No.
Nope.
Alzheimer's or dementia?
Nope.
Are you guys on any pain medications?
I take an aspirin sometimes.
An aspirin? No Norcos, nothing like that?
Nope.
Nothing at all.
Alrighty. Cancer?
No.
Nope.
COPD?
No.
No.
Stroke?
No.
No.
Heart attack?
No.
Nope.
Last question. Diabetes?
He has diabetes.
Okay. Is he on pills, insulin?
I take the pills.
Take the pills. That's like metformin?
Yep, metformin.
Alrighty. And do you have complications like neuropathy?
No. Do you want my milligrams of how much I take of metformin?
No, it's okay.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at it. You just knowing that's pretty fine. And last thing, is there any other medications you guys have been on the past 2 years?
No.
No, just the metformin.
Just the metformin. Alrighty, well, based off this general information, I most definitely have something you guys can qualify for. Yeah.
You're good, dude.
Alright.
That's different when everybody's watching.
Yeah, it's a little different, you know. Alright. So based off this information you guys gave me, I most definitely do have something you guys can qualify for. My question for you guys is, how much in coverage were you guys looking for? Were you guys looking for something bigger, or were you just...
Does that financial inventory ask about their income?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I usually don't like to ask just because I used to, and then I got the door slammed in my face one time. I don't know if
Will you ask their income at the door?
because I was door knocking, but I was sitting down and just because I don't know if because
No, dude. So the income. I mean, you should. That's just something that you've convinced yourself of based off of something that's an outlier or doesn't happen. That's the most important part of the financial inventory. So if I go in and I don't have a financial inventory,
Yeah.
and I don't even need one, all I need to know is what's your income and how much you're going to lose when he dies. That's why people buy. 90% of families buy life insurance because of income replacement. Like if I died tomorrow and my wife lost zero income, I don't need coverage, truly. I need it because if I die tomorrow, she loses X amount of income. So that's the most important thing you'd ask. Dude, all these other questions, it's just a control thing. You know, like all the health stuff like that, so you can know what product to write. So two things. I wouldn't say you most definitely can qualify for protection, because you want to kind of have that as a pullback, a takeaway. I don't want them to think they can just get it. Because maybe they can, but maybe there's something pops up. I don't know. But I don't want them to think that. Because if people just think they can have something, they don't value or appreciate it. It's just there. Oh, it's free? Well, all of a sudden I could put a price tag on something and you think it's valuable. So I want to take it away. I don't want to ever say just, oh, you guys could definitely qualify. It's like, I think we'll be able to give you a plan that's going to be able to qualify you guys now. So I do something like that. I think we will be able to. Now, the income is the most important thing, James. So I'm going to park here for a little bit and then we'll wrap up in a second, because this is the most important thing. Remember, assumptiveness and value, two things that will help you become more effective in the home. The reason why the close ratio I think is 30, and the same thing that like I was talking to Dean a couple weeks back, is you got to paint the picture and then ask questions to get them to live in the picture that's painted. You don't even have a clear picture. So if you have a clear picture, it's a little better. So you'll get better there by asking income. You get a lot better by asking questions and then letting silence do its work. What I mean by that is this. So I say, Rochelle, what do you make? And she says,
5,000.
5,000. What's your 70? Are you still working? Did you ask them if they're working or retired?
No.
So you can definitely. Are you guys both working? Both retired?
Both retired.
Okay. So what's your income, Rochelle?
5,000.
Is that common if you're retired? It's usually like Social Security, right? Like 1,000.
Okay, so
So 1,800.
1,800.
Okay, Reggie, what's your income?
2,400.
Okay. So I drawed out 1,800, 2,400, and combined. What is that? Would it be 4,200?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4,200. So then I say, Reggie, so the way it works with Social Security, which also if I say something that makes me seem smart, people are more likely to listen. Most of the time they don't know this, and if they do, and you know it, it makes you still look good. So Reggie, if you passed away, Rochelle, if Reggie passed tomorrow, you would lose your Social Security, the 1,800, and you'd get Reggie's 2,200. Because of Social Security, you get the higher of the two. So really, if either one of you passed away, you're going to lose the 1,800. So the income goes from 4,200 to whatever, 2,200. And then once I do that, I say, so Rochelle, let me ask you this, like going from the 42 to the 22, how would that impact your ability to pay the bills and take care of everything?
Oh, greatly. That's the mortgage payment.
What would that look like? What would you have to do?
Move.
Do you have family or anybody that you would be able to move into with, or?
Typically, it's like I have kids out of state, so I'd have to go stay with one of them. They would let me live with them.
And that's not what you want to have happen?
No.
Okay. Same thing for you, Reggie, as far as if something happens to Rochelle with the loss of income?
Yeah, I'll have to look for somewhere to relocate. So that's going to be a challenge.
Okay, got it. And that's probably the last thing you guys want to think about when something happens, which is why I'm here in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So you see how much more effective that is. Now, I would ask additional questions. You missed all the the picture painting questions. And you see, dude, you got to realize that you have a license. James, like you're walking in, you're the professional. Now you're 19.
Yeah.
I was 19 when I got started. I used to have people come over and say, man, when you sit with the client, like, are you ever worried about them saying like, well, what do you know? Or how long have you been doing this? How old are you? I said, no. I walk in and no matter how old I am, I'm the professional. What does that matter? Right? It's no different than if I've been a mechanic for a year and you've never even touched a car and you're 72. I know more than you do. It doesn't matter what my age is. And so nothing else matters. You're not comparing yourself to them in any other facet other than the fact that you're there for their request, your license. So you want to hold yourself with confidence and not care if you ask a question and not be uncomfortable with asking a question. Ask them about their income, dude. That's your job. You're basically a financial representative trying to give them advice on their financial situation when something happens. So that stuff should be assumed to ask. And you should be confident in the sense that if they say something dumb, which never usually happens, but if Reggie says, well, why do you need to know my income? I said, Reggie, I need to know your income because I need to know the protection, how it lines up. And Reggie, listen, man, to me, it makes no difference what you guys do or don't do. I'm a field underwriter, but I'm going to have to go through some questions to figure out your situation. And if I can't, I'm not going to give you any advice as a professional because I don't want to give you wrong advice. And Reggie, if I know you, just the way you're holding yourself, because my dad holds himself, whatever, my uncle holds himself the same way. You probably are saying that because you want to deal with something that's straightforward, upfront, not going to beat up around the bush, it's going to tell you the truth. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
They're always going to say yes, because I'm giving them something to live up to. I'm giving them an out, saving face. Yes, great. Well, well, then you'd probably appreciate me asking appropriate questions to give you the right feedback, right? He's going to say yes. Now, guess who so I took a negative and I turned it into a positive, let him know, like, dude, I'm a field owner, that's sales rep. That's what you're fearing. That's why you're acting like that. But dude, be clear. I can walk around. I could care less. You got to have that when you go in. I could care less. I don't care. This is for your benefit, dude. Doctor, patient. Mm-hmm. It's for your benefit. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's how you got to have it, dude. You got to the painting picture questions are: do you have anything in place that acts like life insurance? 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, stuff like that. Do you have anything in place that acts like that? Oh, no, I don't. Okay. Great, or I do. You write it all down. Do you have any life insurance in place, Reggie? You didn't even ask that. You didn't ask them if they have life insurance. Dude, that's so important. That's everything. Because when you ask do they have life insurance and they verbally say no, you know how big of a deal that is? Because all that's saying is like, no, we don't. You see what I'm saying? It's making them feel more aware of their insufficiency, but you're providing the solution to that insufficiency. So you want them to be aware of that because you're the solution to it. Does that make sense? So these are the dude. This is how you make it. Most agents that we do this with, they are all the same in missing this. They don't ask a couple questions. They leave some off. Ask every question on the financial inventory regardless. If you don't know what to say, if they say like, why do you know that? I don't know. They said that they'll fire me if I don't. But anyways, that's okay. Who cares? They said they're gonna fire me. I got to turn these in. And they make sure because I guess apparently this is what you can do. You know, you're younger and they'll fire me. Apparently, if I send it in because they request every one of them, make sure I'm doing my job right. I understand your situation before I give you any kind of advice, which I guess makes sense. But I got to turn them in. If I turn them out incomplete, more than 2, I get fired. So what's your how much life insurance you got? That's how you do it. Does that make sense? Do it like that. Like what Sean said. You know, he goes through everything. And it's like, hey, they ask you how old you are or something like that. You ever get that?
Oh, I get a lot.
Yeah, I'm actually 15. My mom dropped me off in the car. She's doing circles out there. So once I'm done, she's gonna pick me up. So if we could go through it pretty quick, I don't want to keep her waiting. We did the whole Uber thing, and she didn't feel safe about the drivers, so she's actually driving me now. But anyways, do you like that? It's funny, dude. They'll laugh. So I'm just kidding. I've been doing it quite a while. But anyways. Like, what the heck does it matter? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You're basically, it's funny, so they don't get too offensive, but it's also saying, like, hey, have some respect for yourself. Calm down. Like, what does matter? What does my age matter? So, you paint the picture, and then those questions are everything. What does it look like? How did it impact you? Can you kind of tell me, like, what does that look like if something comes, you know, Reggie didn't come home tomorrow, and the cops knock on the door, and it's his ID, and you have that gut-wrenching feeling. That all takes place, but what comes after that, Rochelle? And I'm asking because I care. It's not like, well, what does that look like? Or do you, where you were doing it, you were trying to poke a hole. When you poke a hole, it's hard to do it with empathy because you know there's nothing there anyways. Yeah. So you're kind of almost saying it as if you're trying to like jab and find something. But when you have it all painted out and you're just asking a question like, well, what does that look like? How does it impact you? What are you going to do? Who's going to help out? And that's probably not what you want to have happen, right? Okay, got it. And that's probably why I'm here for that main reason. I got it. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to go through the different options and programs. I can't guarantee that we can find someone that's going to qualify right away, but I can guarantee that I'm going to do my best to help you, and that will definitely get something in place eventually because I go through the lowest risk first and then move from there. And I know how important it is for you guys, obviously. And so I'm going to do my best. Now, once we find a plan that's a good fit, we'll see if they're going to come back and do an initial approval. We send it in on this laptop here, iPad, and they're going to come back and give me either a yes or no initially. And then we'll have the final answer within that, a couple days after that. And we'll have 30 days to tweak, adjust. We want to go up or down, we could always adjust it. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, great. and then you go into it. So that's kind of giving them the forecast of what's to come. So that way they're not sitting there while I'm trying to talk to them and guide them, thinking about, well, what comes next? What about this? Or, I heard one time I got to pay a year check. Whatever it could be going in their head. I don't want them to think that. I want them to know what's to come and what we're going to do. Not, well, what we might do. Well, if you guys happen to find a plan, no, what we're going to do, that's the assumptive part. What we're going to do, that's assumptive. So if the assumptive part is phraseology like that, what we're going to do is this. We're going to send in a request, this, and that. So let's go. So you did all that. The close. What's your close, James? We'll wrap up with this. Like, what's your close? When you show them a couple options, what do you say?
Oh, if I show them a couple, I'll flip it over. Flipped it over, show the close. And if I'm usually dealing with someone in their 70s, this would be my close. It would be like, which one makes sense to you? So, Miss Paula, Mr. Reggie, which one makes sense to you? They pick. And then I say, well, Mr. Reggie, Miss Paula. Usually most of our clients get paid on usually the first or third of every month. It's middle of the month, so usually our clients usually don't, they usually can't afford this right now. So what we could do, we don't even know if you qualify yet.
All right, so you don't want to do that, dude. Most clients can afford it right now, because how can you afford not to have it? So, like, dude, in my mind, I'm thinking if you make $800 a month and you got $2.42 left over each month, and you spend $40 on cat food, you should get rid of your cat and get life insurance. That's how I think about it. Now, your kid, no, you got a kid, but a cat, get rid of the freaking cat. $40 you save, you need some life insurance.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how convinced I am. Like, everybody can afford this. How could you afford not to? Because if you die, what the heck? If you can't afford your budget now, what the heck happens when Reggie's gone and she loses $1,800 a month? Well, what the heck happens then? Yeah. Because it's gonna happen. This ain't the Notebook movie where you both die, snuggle up in bed, like, oh my God, they both passed. How cute. No burden for either one. That doesn't work like that, dude. That's a freaking movie. It's fake. It didn't happen. It makes for a good romantic time and for you to, your lady to feel like you're, connecting and watching something you probably don't want to watch. That's a movie. That's not real. So you get what I'm saying? You don't. This is the thing. You can't. You're tiptoeing, dude. You're almost like you don't want to get them too uncomfortable. Get them uncomfortable, dude. It's not in a bad way. It's uncomfortable because they know that there's a situation, but they're thankful for you. Uncomfortability makes them more thankful for you. Not. Man, why is he doing that? They tie uncomfortability to the thankfulness that you're there because you're going to provide a solution that's going to make them feel more comfortable about it. So that's how you got to get your mind right, dude. Like, is even the Mr. and Mrs. Stop it. Don't do the Mr. and Mrs. No. Dude, you're the doctor. When was the last time you walked in the doctor's office and he said, Mr. James, how are you?
That's a good question. No.
Has they walked in, they called you doctor? Hey, Dr. James. And they're the doctor? Good to meet you, Dr. James. They don't do that. Dude, they know that you need them more than they need you. But if you don't show up to the doctor's office, doctor ain't making no money. What would be weird is the doctor is walking down the street saying, hey, are you okay, dude? When's the last time hey, come in, man, I'll get you in. You're like, what the hell? Get away from me, dude. Let me see your credentials. Get away from me, freak. That's a life insurance agent with no leads. It is like that because it's weird because they didn't ask for it. With leads, you're the patient that goes into the doctor's office, sits down in the doctor's talk. You have leads. You're the doctor. They're the patient. They've asked for help. I don't know, Mr. Mrs. I'm not polite. I'm not rude. I'm polite in a way where they know I care, dude. You're trying to be polite in a way that's subservient. That's not what your job is to do. Your job is to challenge them, tell them the truth, show them their situation, find a solution, assume the sale, and get them protected. That's your job. That makes sense?
Yes.
So at the end, you show the options. Give me your close and don't change it.
Yeah, that was the close. That was it.
Okay. And then you said which one you want to go with? Or?
Yeah, I said which one makes most sense to you.
Okay. So Andrew, I thought my close was good. And then Andrew came up with a close that he said on a podcast like 8 years ago. And I was like, that's better. So I did it and it worked better. So I always did it. And I memorized. See, this is the difference. When he said the close, I said, that's good. That's better than how I do it. So I wrote it down. I pretended like it was Sunday school and it was a memory verse. I was going to get candy when I was 4. I rehearsed it, practiced, drilled it. So by the time I went to my ex-client's house, I said it word for, it wasn't like 5 paragraphs. It's not that deep, but I had it down. So when I went to the client's house the next time, I said it exactly how he said it, and I got a better result. All this stuff is on podcasts. That's the whole practice drill rehearse. So what I say, Jen, is I say, listen, I said, Reggie and Rochelle, listen, we can't make a decision today because we don't know if you're going to qualify. But if you were to qualify, which one of these options do you think would make the most sense for your guys' peace of mind and also affordability? That's what I say. And then and Reggie says, this one. Okay, great. Well, Reggie, we'll start there and see if we get you qualified. Grab our driver's license. We'll hope to see what they come back with. We're going to hope, because we know how important it is, because look at your financial inventory. Look what happens when you die. We're going to hope. Does that make sense? It's keeping them not like they fully got it. They're hoping. So now you're not trying to close a deal. They're like, they're hoping that they can get it. So, but every time I close like that, we don't know if you're going to be able to qualify. I say, Reggie, we can't make a decision today. I do it every time the exact same way, because I memorize it. We can't make a decision today because we don't know if you're going to qualify. So guess what that took away? When he says, I think about it, like, yeah, no, I understand, Reggie. They have to think about it too, because you really don't have to make a decision. Just don't worry about it. You can think about it. But which one do you think would make the most sense? I think that one. Great, we'll start there. There's nothing to think about. They're not, because you can't make a decision today because we don't know if you're going to qualify. But if you were to qualify, which makes no sense, but it works. But if you were to qualify, which one of these do you think would make the most sense? Well, I think that one. Great. We'll see if we qualify there. Grab a driver's license. But the same way every single time. The last thing is this. When you show the options, go deep again. This one's $15,000. $15,000 doesn't sell. What $15,000 does is what sells. $15,000 seems insignificant relative to whatever you want to compare it to. But me painting the picture of what that $15,000 is going to do pertinent to your picture that I have in front of you that I continue to keep going back to, which you didn't do, that's what you got to do. That's what sells. So Reggie, if you don't come home tomorrow, this one right here is $15,000. What that will do is cover 7 months of income replacement and also give you some time to breathe and cover any other expenses if you needed that came up. You'd have full peace of mind. You'd be able to breathe more and recover, move forward in a healthy manner, and not have to think about anything for 7 months. This one is $20,000. This one will protect you for 9 months of income. So it's what it does that sells, not what it is. What it is who cares? Who cares about 12 grand? Who cares about 4 grand? I sold policies for 4 grand all the time. 4 grand? I'm at 4 grand. But it's not 4 grand, it's what it does. If 4 grand gives you 4 months where you don't have to wake up and think about how do I transition, what do I do, how do I get by, that's where 4 grand is like, oh my God, 4 grand, I can see that being everything for me. And then I can tell stories about how many times I've delivered checks for 4 grand and how the person just like, praise God that I got this. I never thought that it was going to mean that much. But the fact that I don't have to wake up tomorrow and think about money, I could just go through the grieving process. I could be present. I could be there for my family. And not think about the worry and stress for the next couple months. Then I will. But at least I don't have to think about it now. It's everything. That's how you sell. That makes sense. So it's value and assumptiveness. So what you want to do is really go into it, convincing yourself, James. See, a lot of this stuff of what the way you're saying it, what you're saying, it's symptomatic. The real root of it is seeing yourself as a professional and how much they need you, dude. You're freaking super talented. You're great at connecting with people. You've got this just, I don't know, like the way you communicate and hold yourself, it's easy to feel comfortable, vulnerable around you. People would open up to you. You don't seem like you're there for your own, regard. You don't seem like you're out to get. You have a lot of those great things. The way you hold yourself, your demeanor. If you can just become that, convinced that you're the professional, you'll be a lot more effective. So, great stuff though, man. Good job. Give them a hand, guys.
I'm Jessica with Family First Life. I'm here to do the $250 lead credit giveaway, and let's see who wins. Ryan, you are the winner, so I need you to get in touch with Victoria Serrano so you can get your $250 lead credit. Great job.